Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing? Feeling good? Please feel free to make yourself comfortable as we engage in today's debate. My name is Jaden. I'm a visual communication student going into my second year, and I'm in the company of my colleagues who are representing their majors, and they are going to be giving their respective insight. On the proposition team, which is this team, we have Arnie from visual communication, Ruini from fashion marketing, Dimitri from motion graphics and animation. And on the opposite team, we have Chamal from visual communications, Pamaya from interior design, and Daniel from motion graphics and animation. So the ambition of this year's SLDF is to immerse you through all the possible views that the creative industries could offer while incorporating our culture as we progress in building our new local identity. Continuing with this focus on originality, today's debate will be challenging whether design trends inspire original design or limit it. The proposition team in favor of trends inspiring design will begin. Go ahead and set us up, Arnie.
Good morning, everybody. And I would like to always put your client before yourself. Since the moment you start thinking that you're going to be a designer, this is tattooed on your head, like the first thing. Always put your client before yourself. And I'd like to take the perspective of a Sri Lankan design student, first of all. When we're first given a brief, we love to go out and in our country, in Sri Lanka, we go for art galleries, fashion shows, exhibitions. We have a ton planned out. So we go there and we connect, collaborate with trends. When we first talk about trends, it feels like a bad thing, but it's not. It's not just a pattern. It's also representation, like you're representing, and it could also be an acknowledgement. And trends actually help understand the norm and the narrative of people. And as designers, I think it's very important for us to follow trends, to understand what the people need and what do we need, what tools do we need to understand to cater the demographic. And if we actually take the design process, when we start from inspiration and we build on an idea, the source of inspiration always gets lost when you follow through the layers and layers of a design process, which is why we need trends, ideas, intellectual debate to include the demographic you are designing for, ultimately. So with that, me and my team, we would like to propose with the fact that design trends inspire original design. Now I would like to pass it.
Thank you, Arnie. You made some excellent points here, but to start off my rebuttal, I want to define what originality is in the context of design. The concept of originality signifies the original idea that comes from the source and it's conceived by its author. The concept, which is opposite of imitation products, also means unusual, exceptional, but most important in this case, rare. But as the introduction was done, my team would be proposing that design trends actually limit original design. Let me tell you why. To start off with, design trends have an effect on both the audience and the creator. I'll start off with how it affects the creator. When design trends are prevalent, for example, let's say a popular fashion trend is prevalent and you're a fashion designer, you will be more than compelled to go with that design trend and make something in that scenario, in that style, rather than do something you want to do. Because at the end of the day, like I already mentioned, we are designing and creating things for you, for an audience, right? Design trends put that extensive amount of pressure on the creator to not actually explore their own scope. It really limits what they can do. And you also mentioned Sri Lankan students, and I guess it's very important to get this right from the start. When you're a student, you need to properly know how you're going to design something, and you also mentioned design process. But usually in a design process, all those ideas are yours. You can't go to an art gallery or an exhibition and then have that, take a photo of that and have that in mind, and then when you're given a brief or an assignment, think, oh my God, this is exactly the thing I saw there. I'm going to make my own brief like that. You can't do that because that borders on a very, very important topic of plagiarism. More than that, when design trends really don't allow you to go through that pure design process of brainstorming and getting real insights onto your topic and your brief, when design trends are there, you won't have to do that because you already are on that step. So it really limits you on your own original design. Moving on from a student onto someone a bit older maybe, a person who's making things for a consumer audience. Now, I mentioned before how design trends really put pressure on creators to make things that are relevant and popular. A person who's making money off, if it's their livelihood, they're never going to go with something they want to make. They will obviously go with what sells, and what is that? A trend. So in that sense as well, it really limits the scope of original design, of unique designs in almost any field, because you have to do what the audience wants. Design trends really limit original design. Now I have...
Well, considering what you said, I would actually like to rebut it saying that you said to create original design, you have to brainstorm, right? Well, in my opinion, when you're brainstorming, don't you go through the facts? Don't you look? You see that trends have actually inspired original design. Because that no era has ever been without its own trends. Trends are indeed a necessity in the human world. Because taking our society, we play a part in the progression of you wear different types of clothing, catering to different types of trends. But they do it their way. And a great example for this is what is really common in the world. Let's take denim, for example. From the 1950s, where denim really transgressed, now you see denim in streetwear, in high fashion. Now you see, if you had seen their collections, they look somewhat the same, but with their own iconic motifs and prints, labels, colors, and even sometimes the silhouette. Now that created something new, because not everyone would want to actually follow an original design. Rather, they want to be, let's follow the trend, that's okay, but still, shall we just make something a little bit odd? The way it fits the trend, but the way it fits ourselves. Because what everyone wants is an identity, to be a part of society, to feel valued and appreciated. That's what trends do. And that's why trends actually inspire original design, to rebel against it, to help people, and to provide them with their sense of belonging. And that is why I would conclude that trends actually do inspire original design. Passing on to Pamaya.
Thank you, Rovini. So I'd like to take what you said about using trends to create your own design. Would that really be your own design, or would it just be a hybrid of what's existing? You mix and match all these designs that are already existing to make your own design, but is that really original design? Let's take, for example, Roman architecture. It is one that is like very popular around the world. People come all over the world just to go admire it. And is it really original? No. It has been taken from Greek architecture and improved to what we see today. So I think rather than it being an original design, it's rather a hybrid, a mix and match, an evolution of the design that is available. Although I do think evolution is a necessary part of creating this industry, because you can't keep doing the same thing. People need to change. People need to evolve and create something new. But trends don't do that. Why? Because trends are what makes people comfortable, because it's already there. It's something that tells you, okay, this is what's popular. So why would we want to do something different? Because you already have a comfortable place. But you can't do that, because the industry would stop, people would stop evolving, and it's important that we keep moving forward, pushing boundaries, and trends limit that opportunity given to us. And we don't like change because it's a risk, and in design, we don't know what the outcome would be. We could come up with a design that's completely original, but we're afraid to take that risk. Why? Because it's an unsteady path to take. And what do design trends do? Create a safe place, a comfortable place where people do not venture out. So this also applies to the people, the society. We are in a world where everything's interconnected, and we see what's going on. We subconsciously make little notes in the back of our head, deciding, okay, this is what's trending, this is what's good, this is what everybody likes. So it's comfortable. So when we go to a designer, we're like, oh, okay, I saw this and I want something similar. We don't say, oh, I want something completely different, because we're afraid to take that risk. And it appeals to our clients to take less risk, because they don't want to be shunned from society, saying, oh, this person's a complete oddball who refuses to follow what's trending. And that's why trends limit us to where we are. And I would like to mention Pinterest is a place where people love to go explore what's new, what's trending. And they take those ideas and they refuse to come up with their own original ideas, rather mix and match pieces from Pinterest and such places. And I would like to conclude with limitations is a rule, a fact, a condition that limits something, and we believe that trends limit designers rather than letting them be creative with their own original designs. Now I'm passing it to Dimitri.
Thank you, Pawai. Going on what the opposition said, they said taking inspiration might be plagiarism. We are arguing that inspiration isn't plagiarism. Why? Have you heard of the saying that there is nothing new under the sun? Why do we have this saying? It's because humans have the same needs we had thousands and thousands of years ago. We have a need for our basic needs to be met, for comfort, and for spiritual. We have spiritual needs. This is why, even though in the 21st century, we have things such as religions. And going on from what they said, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. We have found processes for design. So you can take the basic principles of design and create your own original idea. And also, design by definition is not art. It's made for a certain audience. And these trends help to cater to that certain audience. You can find who you want to create for and then create something for them. And no matter how niche the audience is, it's still considered a trend. An analogy I use to describe our perspective on this topic is that a trend is like a light bulb. And the designers are like moths. They land on different parts of the light bulb. And the light bulb is the big overarching idea of that trend. And the designers can take their own perspective on that trend and come up with creative solutions to the design problem. And also, trends keep designers disciplined because they provide a certain framework within which to design. Right? So it's not like art where you can just express yourself. This caters to someone, so you need to follow certain principles and come up with a solution for that. And this framework is provided for by trends. And since design is not art, having a framework is important. And also, a trend gives designers an idea of the needs of the audience. So they can use the needs and come up with their own creative solutions. And this is original design. As an example, taking animation, because I study animation here, you can go on TikTok and find a sound. And people, even though it's the same sound, people come up with different animations for the same sound. That's a trend, but the design is original by itself. Furthermore, going against trends is also a trend in itself. So it's very hard to escape the idea that we need trends. And also, talking about one more fact that the opposition said, being limited by a trend is the choice of the designer. You don't have to be scared of not fitting into the trend. You can actually use ideas from the trend and be creative with it, or even go above the trend. But then trends inform us of things that people have needed in this life. And they help our creative process, and you don't have to like brainstorm all by yourself. You have all this help from these trends where you can mix and match and come up with original works. So yeah, that's why we are saying that design inspires original design. Thank you. I'm giving it to
Thank you. I would just like to start by addressing one of the points made by the proposition, in that he mentioned that design trends can be a framework, or to use another word, a benchmark to creating original designs. And while these design trends can serve as a good benchmark or a good framework for creating your own original design and exploring into the world of design, it can also be a huge limiting factor, not just in the physical or literal sense, but psychologically. If you are given a framework or given a way to start and a way you are expected to do something, in your mind, you're going to continue to think that this is the correct way to do it. It creates this sense of right and wrong in what you are designing, when in design there's no true right and wrong, just what is preferred and what is more attractive to the consumer and the client. And design trends are not something which is limited by just the designer. It can be limited by the person consuming these designs, because it is not just the designer's choice to create whatever they want, as mentioned before by one of my peers. It is also catered to the client or the consumers. And if the consumers are limited in what they think is popular and what they think is trending, then they are going to limit the designer as well. For instance, if you talk about fashion, most of us like to wear what's trendy or stay trendy because that is what makes us popular or look better. Everyone likes to wear the newest Nike shirts or Nike shoes. And that is a design trend. That is a trend which stems throughout society. And this trend can limit designers, as designers tend to want to stick to that design, that look, because that is what the consumers want. Furthermore, the argument here is not that taking inspiration from design trends is a bad thing or should not be done. And it's not that design trends are some evil thing which we should abolish. It's rather that it just tends to limit you as a designer, because your clients are going to want to limit you, and you are going to want to limit yourself psychologically, as you tend to enter something called the comfort zone. You start with this, you learn through this, and you want to stay in it because it's comforting to you. Humans tend to seek comfort in everything they do. And to quote a famous British actor, Dan Stevens, the comfort zone is the great enemy to creativity. Moving beyond it necessitates intuition, which in turn configures new perspectives and conquering fears. You need to get over your fear to do something new, to create something original. Which leads us to the main point I want to make. Strong original ideas create design trends, not the other way around. You cannot create a strong original idea that comes from you and can further inspire new trends by drawing excessively from existing design trends, because you are just going to create a loop of design. If you create something which is yours, your original idea, which you have thought up in your own mind, which goes out of your comfort zone to create something that goes against the trends, then you are able to create something new and an original new trend. Thank you. I now hand the mic back to.
Okay, so I would like to summarize and conclude the points we've come up with. So we strongly believe that design trends limit original design. For that, it's because trends affect and influence people. That influence is what makes people take a step back and they get comfortable with it. And we also talked about how it affects the audience and rather than the designer itself, because that is who we're designing for. That is who makes the last decision when we make a design. It is important that we cater towards who we are designing for rather than ourselves. So if they believe that these trends are what's popular and what is right, we should cater towards them. And that in turn limits a designer from what they could come up with and whatever original designs they're allowed to make. And there's a lot of psychology behind why we refuse to take big risk and make these decisions, because we're scared of being shunned out by society and such. And lastly, original ideas become trends, not the other way around. So if we look more into that, how does an original idea become a trend? It is when someone thinks of something out of the blue, different from what's trending, and they make it popular. And that is how a trend is created rather than the other way around. So we believe that trends do indeed limit someone's perspective of what an original design could be. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Pamaya. And I would like to wrap it up from my team as well. And so we are in an era of acceptance. As design students in Sri Lanka, we need inspiration. We always go for help. We go for lecturers, we go for none other than like our own colleagues for inspiration. And we go to several places, talk to several people and filter out and finally go into our design process. And being an oddball itself is a trend. We all love being exclusive, we all love being inclusive, and it's very diverse, even for designers now, like looking at trends, and there are different demographics for different trends. But also understanding trends, understanding people, understanding norms, narratives through them, and incorporating the basics of trends rather than looking at it in a literal sense, thinking in diverse manners, diverse angles, and straining them and extracting the core elements of all your design processes and finishing a product, and rather than just copying from a trend, should be a quality of a good designer. That's what our team thinks, and thank you so much.
Can we have another round of applause for both teams for giving us a cohesive variety of perspectives regarding this topic? And thank you so much for being a very engaged and patient audience. We really appreciate that. And I hope that the points that each member of each team has given, you can apply it in how you think about trends, you know, whether it is in fashion or visual design, animation. Just any form of design, trends exist. And I hope you can change how you perceive that. And our moderator will now give the verdict and will be telling us who won the debate, which team, and also who was the best speaker. So I'll hand the mic to her.
I hope it's okay that I don't stand up. You guys can all see me, right? Everyone can hear me? Okay, great. All right, first of all, I just wanted to say how wonderful it was to see design students discussing design instead of just doing the designs. As much as we think that, you know, all of us here really love drawing, we like making images, we like making things look nice, it's also really important to read about these topics. It is also really important to talk about it as well. And that's one thing that I've noticed a lot of students don't like to do. They don't like to raise their hand and discuss things in class. But it's really important. Those three things, doing the design, reading about the design, and talking about it, super important. So I really wanted to commend both teams on being so articulate today, so professionally well turned out, and just really awesome, actually. Much better than the rehearsal, guys. Well done. So congratulations on that. I'm going to name two winners today, one overall winning team and also one best speaker, because I felt like that was necessary. Although I am a bit annoyed that you guys have not made it easy for me. But it is a really important topic that was discussed today. You know, should we follow trends? Will they inspire our design, or will they limit our design? Are we, you know, in danger of copying somebody? Will we plagiarize without even realizing? You know, so these are all things that we are constantly discussing. There is no right and wrong. So I hope you've kind of taken some points from today's debate and you kind of understand design a little bit more as well, and especially when it comes to the processes of the different departments. So I think I'm going to first name the best speaker and then mention the overall winning team. So I would like to congratulate this speaker on not just delivering their points really well, but also having a really good variety of examples, not being sort of repetitive or going over the same thing, excellent vocab, good relation to the speaker that spoke before them, and very good use of design terminology as well. It's always important to use the right terminology so that we can, you know, we can have better design discourse. And that honor, I would say, and it's just an honor, we don't have a prize or an iPhone or anything, that goes to Ruvini. Ruvini, sorry. Congrats. And the overall winning team, again, this was very difficult because you both did an excellent job. But at the end of it, I had to really look at, you know, which team made the most strongest points, the best examples, the most tangible links back to the topic. And for that, the winning team is Irony's team. Congratulations. Thank you for joining us for this debate. We are now done, so does anybody else want to take this mic off me?